Hi, I'm Anjanette Fennell, and I want to talk to you today about the top 5 mistakes writers make when approaching publishers and agents. And then we're going to follow that up with 5 different videos on ways to do it right. So, one, in no particular order, one of the top 5 mistakes made is not spending enough time on the query letter. Now, look, if you go into Google and Google how to create a query letter, you're going to find all sorts of advice out there. And I would say if it's from an agent or a publisher, it's probably really good advice. We will go into depth into what to include in your query letter in another video, but I want to just say here that this is your first impression. So you want to spend time on it and you want to get it right, because if you send off that email, likely an email, not a physical letter anymore, if you send that off to an agent or a publisher, they will make an instant decision about whether or not to read any more. And it could stop as soon as the first line. So it's so important that you get it right. That's mistake number 1. Another one is that writers aren't necessarily doing a lot of research about who they're approaching. So, are you writing fiction? Are you writing nonfiction? If you're writing fiction, are you writing genre fiction like fantasy or sci-fi, chick lit, or commercial women's fiction? I'm a huge fan of commercial women's fiction. What are you writing? Make sure you're approaching the right people for what you're writing. There is no sense in spending time or energy for you to send your query to somebody who stated that they have no interest in your topic at all, right? So do some research. There are some great websites out there. Agent Query is one of them that can list what the agents are looking for at any particular time and whether or not they're even taking submissions at all. Big clue there as well. So if there's 6 mistakes, that's one of them. Not checking to make sure that this particular agent or publisher is actually taking submissions. Now, another one is a personal sort of pet peeve of mine, is that writers aren't necessarily spending enough time editing their work. Now, I don't want to tell you that you have to edit it 10 times before you send it out, but you should not send out an unedited manuscript. The 3 chapters that some might request need to be fully edited, and that means a structural edit, perhaps a copy edit, and definitely a proofread. If your work is riddled with grammar mistakes and typographic errors, the agent or publisher cannot take it seriously and they will chuck it. And it doesn't matter how wonderful the content is. I'm serious here, people. It's really tough to get rid of every typo. I promise you there are books out there on the market that are printed that still have typos in them, but it is well worth your time and energy getting at least 2 other people to look through your work and at least get rid of those that are glaring. Okay? This is your first and best impression, and you may not get a second chance. So don't have them chuck it because of typos. Edit your work. The 4th is related to that one, and I would love to see more writers have a qualified reader read through the manuscript first in helping them to edit it. Even if you're self-editing, it's really great to get somebody who knows what they're doing, and this means it may not be close friends or family. Now, you don't necessarily have to spend money on a high-priced editor at first if you don't want, but there are plenty of writing groups out there or writing critique groups that you might join, and you are very discerning about who you give your work to. It's a very vulnerable proposition to send out your work, but if you're ready to send it to an agent or publisher, you are ready to give it to a qualified reader who can give you the kind of feedback that you need. In connection with that advice about getting a qualified reader, I would give your reader a set of specific criteria that you want them to read the manuscript to look for certain mistakes, whether it's typographic errors, grammar errors, structure, content. Do they understand what you're trying to say? Give them the specifics so that they give you the feedback that you want, and hopefully not the feedback that you didn't actually want. Like, I think this is a horrible topic anyway. Don't give it to somebody that has zero interest in reading it, but likewise, don't just give it to your mom because she's going to be nice to you. That's hopefully her job. So, my final big top 5 mistake that writers make when submitting to an agent or a publisher is that they're not following the submission guidelines. Now, if you've done the research and you've found the specific agents or publishers that you want to submit to, all of them have submission guidelines somewhere on their website. I promise they do. Some of them are quite general, or they just want specific details like your name, your contact details, and then they have a comment form where you just copy and paste your query letter into the comment box, and that's fine. Others have very specific things that they want you to do, down to the size of the font or the kind of font they want you to use, whether they want you to submit a Word document or a PDF. Follow the submission guidelines. If you don't, your query is going to go straight into the bin, and we don't want that. Granted, it would be miraculous for everyone that you send it to love it, although we can always cross our fingers for that. But you are really helping your case if you pay attention to who they are and the way that you want them to send it. So if you tick all those boxes, you have a much better chance of rocking up to that blind date, as you will, with somebody who wants to read what you've sent. Okay, so I can't wait to get in touch with you next time and tell you specifics about how to tackle each of those 5 mistakes and make sure that your query shines. Again, this is Anjanette Fennell. You can head over to anjanetfennell.com and find me. You can also find me over at storyteller-inc.com, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.